I'm mad as hell because I see people who don't come in, who don't come to the doctor, who come to the doctor and then don't buy their medicines because they can't afford it, who don't get treatments because they can't afford it. And I think of the insurance CEOs who are making $1.5 million, and I'm just outraged. And I want to be able to take care of the entire panel of patients, whoever comes in the door there.
To the extent that our healthcare system is designed, and it's not, but to the extent that it is, it's designed to serve the needs of the insurance industry, which creates 30% administrative costs, 20% waste that could go away if they just went away.
The thousands of people, patients that I've treated and met, who have suffered needlessly because of our for-profit, senseless, unfeeling healthcare mess.
But here's a story that I just heard this weekend. A neurologist colleague that I had dinner with on Sunday night recently was caring for a young woman with Guillain-Barré syndrome. This is a puzzling but well-known condition. For laymen, it's kind of similar to an allergic reaction in which the patient gradually becomes paralyzed, many times to the point where life depends on being on a ventilator. Guillain-Barré can be treated with things like IV immunoglobulin and steroids, but still the basic main treatment is the support of life functions until the paralysis recedes, which it almost always does. After the patient had been in the ICU on a ventilator for 8 days, my colleague got a phone call from her insurance company. The clerk on the phone told this neurologist specialist, the clerk says, you must discharge the patient because she's reached the median length of stay for Guillain-Barré. Median length of stay. My colleague, after he picked his jaw up off the floor, told the clerk that the patient was completely dependent on a ventilator and would die if she was discharged. The clerk was unmoved and said the insurance company wouldn't cover any more days of ICU care. My colleague asked to speak to a supervisor and got the same information. He then demanded to speak to a physician in charge of medical decisions at the insurance company. Finally, he thought, I'll get to someone who understands that you can't just cut off medical care for someone who's on a ventilator. The medical director listened to the story and then said, what is Guillain-Barré? When my colleague expressed disbelief that any physician wouldn't know what Guillain-Barré is, the medical director stated, well, I haven't been in practice for several years. Neither have I, and I've sure heard of it. My colleague, of course, refused to discharge the patient. The insurance company refused to pay for her additional days of hospitalization. Ultimately, either she will pay thousands of dollars out of pocket, perhaps even into bankruptcy, or else the hospital will give her charity care, drives up hospital costs for all the rest of us. This is how American medicine is run by insurance companies, and I'm mad as hell. No other wealthy nation treats its people this badly. Doctors in these other nations are proud of their ability to treat patients, all their patients, with the best medicine they know how to practice, and take comfort in the knowledge that their patients will be adequately covered for all necessary care.
Yeah. Well, the primary care doctors are working really hard, and they spend a lot of time fighting with insurance companies to get for their patients what they need. And the gap between primary care providers' income and specialist income is wide and widening. And that's the reason we're down to 30% primary care in this country. And there isn't anybody that's in charge of the system to say, we need more primary care doctors. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to allocate our resources differently so we have the primary care doctors we need? Most of the European countries and Taiwan and Japan, it's 50% or more primary care doctors. In every place it's ever been investigated, both domestically and internationally, the more primary care doctors you have, the better the outcomes, people are healthier, and it's cheaper. It's a little, I don't like to be divisive, and when some people like myself say this, especially among our peers, we get accused of causing a rift between doctors, but it is the truth. And somehow we've got to have a system and pay physicians well for what we do, because it's a hard job. But we have to narrow that gap. It has to be zero-sum, and I believe we have to pay primary care providers more and some of the specialists less, and then maybe some of our young doctors will go into primary care, because they're not now. 2%. 2% of our new graduates are going into primary care.
We are mad because Congress so tight. We are mad and for us there is no doubt. That's the best healthcare plan, is a single payer plan.